welcome everyone. A lot of people joining us, and I can see a lot of people who are joining us from a BNI fraternity as well. So welcome to all the friends from BNI fraternity as well as from the SowtexConnect community. We welcome you to today's session. I hope everyone is safe, fine, and you're well going ahead and getting yourself vaccinated at this point of time. Well, we welcome you on a unique session today. And today we have with us none other than Ms. Vanduta Khurana, Managing Director of DAKS India Industries. Welcome, Vanduta. Plus, we also have with us Gagan Kapoor. Everyone has seen Gagan in SowtexConnect sessions. You know how he's kind of driving this vertical for Sowtex. And we welcome Gagan also on this session. So before we take on and I hand over to Gagan, so I would like to share a quick introduction about Sowtex for the members who are joining us for the first time from various geographies. I'll take a quick moment in sharing SowtexConnect is a tech aggregator knowledge platform in the business-to-business network, offering global connections through smart tools, both in sales and sourcing. And it is a unified workflow which is between a connect between buyers and suppliers, helping the companies to grow their business. Currently, Sowtex is at a span of about 10,000 plus textile companies network across India and Southeast Asia. And we have majority of this, we have core smart tech tools which are helping companies to do buyers and suppliers engagement, design management, stock liquidations, capacity management, team management, and real-time engagements. Here on the SowtexConnect, it is a community which is starting off from the brands to garment manufacturers, home textiles, weavers, knitters, spinners, and allied services. In nutshell, Sowtex is offering a value-added services across the complete textile supply chain. And we have just started up this new initiative called SowtexConnect. And I would like to call upon Gagan, our host for the evening, to come and share about SowtexConnect. Over to you, Gagan.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sonal, for a wonderful introduction to Sowtex as always. And welcome to Vanduta, our star for the day. Thank you so much, Vanduta, for taking our time and agreeing to talk about you, your journey, and how you have scaled up your organization, DAKS India. So this is all about the DAKS India story today, what we'll be talking. And but before that, I want to talk about SowtexConnect. I want to talk about the initiative SowtexConnect. Now, this is something which we have now been running for, a version of it had been running for quite some time throughout the last year. And now what we have done is that I've come on board along with Sonal, and we are planning and taking this initiative of SowtexConnect together. I'm leading this initiative, and I'm of course along with Sowtex getting very passionate about SowtexConnect. So there you go. I want to give you a little brief quickly before we get to know Vanduta more. So SowtexConnect is our initiative, which is all about learning, engaging, and collaborating together. And our event, this particular event, and series of events are actually sponsored by three of our sponsors, as you can see, two of our sponsors and an association. So we would like to thank DTEX, which is into some wonderful PPE kits and masks, as well as VN International, who's into corporate gifting and customization. Along with that, Garment Export Association of Rajasthan is the association who is supporting this initiative of SowtexConnect. Thank you all for your support. We really, really enjoy, love your help in running us this initiative. And let's move forward. Let's talk about what is SowtexConnect actually. SowtexConnect actually helps the textile community get more opportunities to connect, train, interact, collaborate, and co-create. Yes, that is indeed what we intend to do at SowtexConnect. It's another initiative of Sowtex, as Sonal mentioned. And what do we do at SowtexConnect? At SowtexConnect, we tend to create more value for our partners. Now we have more than 10,000 odd partners on Sowtex network. So we want to create more value for them. We want to keep them up to date with the latest industry trends. Along with that, we want to also get inspired. Everybody wants to get inspired by the industry leaders. So we are bringing industry leaders on our platform, talk about their stories, like we have one today, the fireside chat with Vanduta. And then we also will bring in sessions which are there to upskill your business. And very soon you are going to see a couple of sessions coming in. We will be announcing it soon. Some amazing business growth sessions which we are planning. And along with that, of course, we will make sure that you learn from the best. So the community has to learn from the best. So what do we do at SowtexConnect? Under SowtexConnect, we have series of events. So we do certain networking events. What's one such event was there last week, which we had done, and we had about 98, more than 98 opportunities which got created within that room itself, which was a congregation of buyers and sellers and suppliers from all over the India and also from outside the country. Along with that, we do knowledge series for the industry, for the textile industry. Then we do tech innovation session. We have a very amazing tech innovation session coming from one of the leaders in the globe, and I'm going to talk about it right away. And then we do fireside chats, as we have one today. Along with that, we do business and personal upskilling trainings for the industry, for the community. Overall, what we want is that we all learn, engage, and collaborate together. And what kind of audience you can expect on the platform? You can expect brands, buying agents and retail chains, garment and home furnishing manufacturers, fabric and trims and machinery manufacturers, along with that, the allied services working for the textile community. And what kind of people we are talking about here? We're talking about large companies from the industry, medium companies, as well as small companies. What kind of people? Business owners, sourcing heads, sales heads, decision makers, merchants, as well as designers. The ultimate aim is that we want to bring you all together, and we all want to learn together, because if we bring us all together and we learn together and we collaborate, we know that we can create much more opportunities. So the ultimate idea is learn, engage, and collaborate. And what do you really need to do to learn, engage, and collaborate? All what you need to do is that you need to look for SowtexConnect's monthly events calendar. Yes, all what needs to be planned is look for every Thursday, either 5 to 6:30 p.m. This is our usual time. But if we have somebody joining in from US, we just slightly change the time to accommodate to their time zone as well. So block your Thursdays 5 to 6:30 p.m. as you are in one of the sessions today, and look for one of these programs which we do. So today, if I talk about 13th of May, we are doing this fireside chat. Next week, 20th of May, we have a tech innovation session, which you'll see in my next slide. And then 29th of April, we have a panel discussion on design for environment, right? This is again a very, very critical topic. It is closer to the World Environment Day, so we are doing this particular session. And what is next week? 20th of May, we are planning this session with an industry people know who Ram Sareen is. Ram Sareen is head coach and founder of Tukatech, right? One of the biggest companies. He is coming on board on the session next week, and he's coming at 7 p.m. As you see, he's based out of LA. So he is coming, and he is going to be talking about tech innovations in the textiles and ways to leverage for industry in the pandemic. This is what he's going to be talking about. Me and Sonil had a session with him yesterday, and I can guarantee you there's some amazing, amazing gems he's going to be talking about. So wait for this session next week. And now I want to briefly thank our sponsors, DTEX, as well as VN International, along with Garment Export Association of Rajasthan. DTEX is as we had the owner last time on our session, is an amazing platform, amazing way with which they are doing the masks, and the 5-layer mask, what we call it as, available in 3 different colors, also available on Amazon and Flipkart. And along with that, our second sponsor is VN International, which is again one of the masters in the corporate gifting segment, and pretty intense corporate gifting space they have, and they are of course supplying to the industry, not only in India as well as globe, right? And when we're talking about these particular sessions at SowtexConnect, what we want is that not only we want your feedback after the session, but we also want certain questions which you would want to ask to our presenters. Maybe you have some buzzing topic or some thought. Like we have a couple of questions which has come to us, and based on that, we have framed our communication for today, right? So let's get straight away to the topic for today, to the thought process for today. And today we are going to be talking about a fireside chat we are on with Vanduta, right? And the DAKS India story. This is what we're going to be talking about. And before I actually invite Vanduta to speak and ask my first questions, I want to unshare the screen and now talk about Vanduta a bit. So welcome, Vanduta, to the session.
Thank you, Gagan. Thank you,
All right.
Sunil. It's nice to be here.
Absolutely a pleasure to have you here. Let me first, before I actually ask you some questions for the audience, let me first introduce Vanduta. She's a savvy businesswoman and a lifelong learner. Vanduta has spent over 2 decades building her business in apparels and textile made-ups, manufacturing and exports. She works with a passion, the kind meant to change the world. Be it any situation, she is no holds barred because she knows this project, this team, this client, or this friend does not deserve a half measure. Vanduta believes in the Vedic values of inclusivity and conscious philosophy. She brought that ethos even in her keynote speech at WCF Davos. Yes, she was there. And she works passionately on organizational culture and creativity. She amalgamates same concepts while working with French and Italian fashion houses, world's top luxury brands, department stores, or big box buyers. She recognizes herself as an apprentice of design. Her mantra is, we must try to leave this world a better place than we found it. Amazing. She graduated from Maharani College, Jaipur, with honors in economics and holds an MBA degree with a major in marketing. Vanduta Khurana is the co-founder of India's leading export house, DAKS India Industries Private Limited, and author of How to Buy from India Without Investing in Alka-Seltzers. So this is actually her first book, and I've had some nice conversations with Vanduta around her book, and it's great to see that it is finally coming out. So welcome, Vanduta. It's a pleasure to have you here on the session.
Thank you, Gagan. Thank you. I mean, that's a very moving introduction. Thank you for that. And it's fabulous to see 40 people with us. I mean, people make time in times like this. I think it's amazing. So welcome, everybody. It'll be nice to know more about you.
Absolutely. So Vanduta, let me get going and ask you some questions straight away. We want to know when people are eager to hear about you. And to all of you, if you can put on the chat box, if you think you are excited and eager to hear from Vanduta about the DAKS India story, type in eager in the chat box for me. Let's see if you can, or yes in the chat box, doesn't matter. Just eager, yes, wonderful. There you go. Tons of yeses and eager coming in to the chat box, and that's just amazing. So let's get going, Vanduta, straight away, and tell us, DAKS India has created a name for itself with 28 years, 8 plants, and more than 3,500 people so far. Some of the top clients you are working with, and I know that at some of the places where the limitations are working with the client for 5 years, you have been connected with them for 16, 20 years. Now, this talks about a company who's really created some values together, right? But we want to go a little back in the history. We want to talk about what happened. Tell us about the initial days of DAKS India.
So the initial days, Gagan, were very, very different from the times that we are living in now. Those were 1990s. And 90s was a completely different time. We had no emails. We depended on our phone calls, which were very, very expensive. And we had our faxes. I would love to know who are the people who were around in 1990s. They'll all agree with me. Please, you were there. So in the chat box, please say me. So we know that each one of you understands where I'm coming from. Nice. Mr. Ashok Rajani, Bipin, Deepak Vora. Yes, he knows a lot. He's been around for a very, very long time. Yes. Yeah, so wonderful. So you have some insight and some idea of the world that existed in 1990s. It was very, very different. So, so the story goes something like this. Anil Khurana, who's our CEO and founder, he's an engineer. So while he was in the last year of his college, an American company called Members Only approached him and they said, can you represent us in India? And like I said, those times were very different. To be told in college that an American company wants to represent you was a huge deal. So he flew from Bangalore, he came down to Delhi, and one of his friends, Sumit from Collage Clothing, I don't know if he would be present here. He's the first one. He offered his premises to Anil and he said, come and learn from us. So he offered his pattern masters, he offered his team. He was very, very generous. And as a young person, then Anil, because he was an engineer, he learned to look at the pattern like an engineer. So he broke it down very differently. And from the stories that I hear, he used to sleep on those cutting tables, and because those pattern masters were now your very important teachers. They were really teaching you the most important skill. So that's where the story started. And the brand that had invited us was Members Only. This was a brand, Gagan, I don't know if you remember, it's this banded bottom jacket that Frank Sinatra and all the others, Bill Clinton and everybody endorsed. So this was a brand, and they placed their knitwear business with us. And at that time, DAKS India was not formed. This is like a prelude to DAKS India. We had a company called Asian Sourcing, which was a buying agency. So we basically started a journey in this industry as a buying agent. But it was a fabulous and a most wonderful learning experience. Those times prepared us for these times, actually. So it started with Members Only, and we would come, whatever business we would get, we would place it with the factories, big, small. And slowly the business started to do very well. We had the opportunity to bring the business of Arrow, business of Van Heusen into India. We were the first pioneers in that sense, that we brought started the mercerized business. We started to bring that into India. So those were our firsts that happened. And like I said, those were different times. So as exporters, when you would work with them, they would come up with very strange stories, so the quality standards were not as we see them today. The factories were not as well organized as we see them today. And I will share some very interesting stories with you. What would happen is you would place an order with the factory, and the date was an X date to ship out of India. And on the date when you would tell the exporter, bhai wo saman tayar hua, or can we come and do the inspections? And they would say, bas abhi aa raha hai, abhi aa raha hai. Then the story was the goods were meant to be shipped, and they said ki wo ja raha tha, and the truck ka engine caught fire. Okay. So it was stories, as cute stories were made then. So those were very simpler times. A lot of times exporters would ship out goods which were still not even stitched. I mean, it's very difficult for you to fathom it today. Yeah. That something like this would happen despite a buying agency coming in and the inspection agencies coming and looking at all the production. Yet those things would happen. Absolutely. So like I said, there were simpler times, there were different times. But what happened with that was that because we want to tell the factories, hey, whatever we are asking for, it can be achieved. It's not that difficult. So we took an initiative and we set up a small, very small, Gagan, very small factory of 50 machines. And that was in our basement. And we laid it perfectly as we wanted the exporters to set their factories. And we would even do small orders and show them that quality is possible. So that was our kind of a show and tell little segment. And meanwhile, what had happened was, as a buying agency, we were expanding. The junior business was booming. The order quantities of those times were 500,000 pieces, 200,000 pieces. अगर 50,000 pieces का order आता था तो हम सोचते थे बहुत कम है, चलो ये भी कर लेंगे. Things like that used to happen. So at that time, we set up our office in Dubai because those were the quota days. Yes. So depending on the product, you took the product to the country where they had the strength. Because I just heard Mr. Mukesh Suneja, he is making trousers now in India.
Yeah.
Earlier, you did not come to India for trousers because we didn't have the quota. We would go to Dubai. We would go to Middle East for trousers. For jackets, we would go to possibly Sri Lanka. Or for loungewear, we would go to Sri Lanka. So we had offices in Dubai, in Thailand, depending where the product needed to be placed.
Super, super.
Now the story took a turn when quota was abolished. So that is another part of the story that I have to tell you.
Okay, so good. So now, I think you're right. The way you mentioned it is pretty inspiring, that just getting an idea right from the start, and getting a query and then capitalizing on it is amazing. And before I ask you the second question, I would like to ask, or tell everybody rather, that our event is now live also on Facebook. So a lot of people are seeing it live on Facebook. Sonal and our team SowTeX, if you can put the link within the chat box, people can click it and share it on their walls on Facebook. Other people will be also able to see that. So we will be doing that soon. Now, Vanduta, coming on to the next question, right after an inspiring start and moving a little ahead, I know sometimes it gets tough, and you said like how it was important to learn from the very people who were making it and sleeping in the factory those nights and all that. I know it can be very tough. But tell us, what were some of the early successes which you had, which the DAKS India had, which really took you forward?
So successes were that, because as an agency, we were expanding, we were growing, we became the biggest buying agency out of Middle East for junior business. The times were very, very exciting, because we used to set up meetings with vendors. I mean, it was fun. It was like young, it was fun, it was vibrant. And we would set up vendor meetings at 2 a.m., 1 a.m., but it was fun. It was really delightful and fun. And every factory you went to, they were loaded with business, because junior business, like I said, the quantities used to be huge. And our success actually started to originate from a lot from our failures. So when the failures were happening, Gagan, at that time, they used to feel huge. So when quota was abolished, we took it as a bad thing, though it was a good thing, but suddenly it was a new way of working. Okay. Our minds were tuned into working around quota. Suddenly producing in Dubai, producing in UAE, Middle East was not so relevant anymore.
Yeah.
And so it was, in that sense, heartbreaking to shut our office over there. There was a point we did not really know what is our next step going to be. To the extent that I used to say, maybe we'll have to start small again. Maybe that factory that we'd set up, maybe we'll have to come back to that. So we really were lost. That was a longish period of failure that we experienced. Mm-hmm. But during that period, something very interesting that happened was, this is USA's biggest importers of terry towels and home furnishing, called JR United. They approached us at that time and they said, can you represent us in India? And our first reaction was, hey, we don't do home textiles. We don't know what you're talking about. We can't do it. And then the second thought was, what the heck? We made such complicated garments. So by the way, I recommend to everybody to start the journey in this industry through garments. Because when you've dealt with complicated patterns like garments, everything else is relatively a cakewalk. So what we did was, we were one of the first few people to place our business in Trident. So Trident, as you know, is a giant today. I mean, you knew these guys had a big plan. And it was so cute. They would send their helicopters. They would woo us, because buying agents were interesting commodity those days. So if they're buying agents right now in the participants, we'd love to hear from them. I don't know if exporters like us woo them anymore. I wish we do. So and it used to be, I mean, they would organize these convoy of fancy cars to take you to their plant and all that. So it used to be all that jazz and fun. So our journey again restarted with that. So that was the first success that happened. And at that time, what happened was, it started to make sense, because we had a lot of land parcels our family is from outside Delhi. So we set up a mill over there. unlucky for us, we picked up a wrong partner. So, but like I said, a lot of our success originated from our failures. So we set up this state-of-art mill. It was beautiful, it was nice, but like I said, the partner, I can't blame him because he taught us what not to do. So that was a huge learning, by the way. That was a huge learning. So from that we learned, and another success that happened was we came again and we discovered this place in Greater Noida. So we started again with a smaller format of factories instead of a full mill, and we set up mid-sized factories.
Okay.
So that was the second part of success that followed.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful, super. And I think you're very right that nobody becomes big just like that. You have to go through through actually tons of failures, and those failures actually always keep you going and make you even more stronger to take you to the next level, which is amazing. And what you said, at times we need to also learn what not to do from these failures than what to do.
Yes.
So which is even bigger. So amazing. Okay, so we've spoken about some of the early successes which you had. Tell us about the big break, which you got, which actually really got you going.
So everybody who's in this industry will understand this. Success, failures, they come in big chunks. Success just comes in trickles. It goes unnoticed. So, I would think the first big break. So all this was happening. This was our usual set of business. This kind of business, doing garments, this was doing home business. It was, like I said, it's very challenging. It's not because you constantly, in those days, especially Gagan, what would happen is you would lose business for 5 cents to another vendor. And from exporter to exporter, we were not very kind to each other. I don't know. Sotex has done this amazing job of bringing people in one platform. And Sonal, we really, truly thank you for that. That insecurity needs to go. Because, so what we were doing was you were undercutting each other. And that was really not a nice thing. And because of that, what happens is an exporter cannot find his true calling, his true segment. In our case, what happened was 16 years back, maybe 18 now, years back, we were approached by a big luxury brand. And they approached us because of our reputation. And this is another thing that people in our industry will understand very well. If you have worked with a set of people and you've done good work with them, they will refer you. Yeah. When they shift jobs, they'll take you along because they trust you. They know you will take care of their work efficiently. So when we were approached by this very big luxury brand, it was very interesting, and they wanted us to set up our own factories. To start working with them, like you're saying, big break, it took us 2 years. We kept doing those developments for them. We kept offering them so many color options, and nothing would work. And here we thought we were these people who made those very complicated garments, complicated gowns. Ye to hamare baएं हाथ का खेल था. And why are those people not really accepting the quality that we're offering? At that one point, we were about to give up. But thank God we didn't, because that became a turning point, because that brought us into a niche category, and that upgraded our quality standard to another level. So that was the biggest brand. And today, as you know, that we work with almost all the top luxury brands of the world. And we are able to say that India mein quality hoti hai.
You're actually leading the flag in that India can really provide quality, which is just amazing. And as we're talking, the questions which have started pouring into the chat box. So we will take these questions a little later when we finish our set of questions. And I would also request you can either put the question in the chat box, or better still, there is a Q&A box which is there at the bottom. So you could all click into the Q&A box and post your question there. Otherwise, in chat, sometimes the question seems to lose. Okay, so let's talk about the next bit, Vanduta. We know that today you've expanded to 8 plants, and you're further expanding. You look at the opportunity, a new company coming in, and you move forward. how did the mindset of expansion is also very, very big thing. The mindset, the keeping the mind open to that. So how did you really plan the expansion bit? How
I
did
think
you go with that?
you've hit the nail on its head, like they say, because it's only about mindset.
Hmm.
Everything that you do is here, and then of course you execute it, because ours is a very hands-on job. Everybody, Gagan, is it possible for me to see people? I love to see their faces. Can I have a glimpse? So
So, this is a webinar mode,
okay,
and in the
sorry,
webinar
sorry.
mode, you will not
We
be able
can
to see
have
the
the people unmuted and we can ask them to take a live questions.
Yes,
Okay, all
they
right,
can see the
okay.
live questions. There are more than now 50 people in the room. So we will ask them, some of them, to take the live questions, but because this is a
Sure, sure,
webinar
sure.
mode, you will not be able to see all of them.
All right, all right. My apologies. I thought it'll be fun if I could see their faces, and it'll be all right. So, sorry, can you repeat, Gagan? So the question was,
What I wanted to say was the expansion bit. Like, how did you really plan the
yeah.
expansion? Like, yeah.
So, like I said, we learned a lot from our failures. We learned a lot from a partner, what not to do. We learned a lot from being a buying agent. So, because when you're a buying agency, when you run a buying agency, you think like a buyer, you think like a customer. You don't cut corners. You don't say कि ये चलने दो, ये जाने दो. You stop doing all that. And because what you're asking of the factory is what you want to deliver.
Yes.
So that's what happened 18 years back. Like I said, we set up our first big, we had a head office in Delhi, as you know, and we set up a small mid-sized factory. Like I said, somebody asked what was the size of the factory. So the first factory that we set was I think 150 machines, if I remember correctly. Thank you, Sandeep. That is the factory that we set up. That was the first factory. And to tell the luxury brands that, listen, we want to bring you now from a big mill into this small factory was very challenging. So we sat across them and we told them that, hey, that quality can still be achieved, because the quality, like you said, Gagan, is all here.
Yes.
Whatever you hear, what do you have here, you can translate and make it happen. So we started with this first factory, and we put all our efforts, all our energy in getting everything right in that factory. And then very slowly, before we even could say Jack Robinson, today we have 8 factories, and we've already, even in these times, we have picked 2 more, because now the aim is, Gagan, that you bring in automation in the places wherever you can. But at the same time, because we are part of this industry, we have to provide employment. That's the first duty as an exporter, as a manufacturer that we have, is to keep providing employment. So you immediately set up another factory and keep introducing new technologies in these factories. So that was one part. Then with every factory, what we did was we brought in specialization. So we have one factory which is doing what we call bags, luxury packaging, premium bags. That factory is completely dedicated to doing one kind of product. Second one is where we manufacture garments. So earlier we were doing value-added garments and very difficult silhouettes, but slowly we realized that it's tough when you're thinking of a scale. When you have gone beyond a scale, it's tough to do those kind of garments.
Yeah.
So today we pick up larger runs. So so we have a factory which is dedicated to doing garments, to doing this lowers.
Yeah.
Then we have a factory dedicated to doing backpacks.
Okay.
Now, this is a new segment. It's just 4 or 5 years old, and therein we make for Steve Madden and brands like that. So that's again an extension of what we already do.
Wonderful, wonderful. And it's very interesting to see that how you are making some specialized factories and then expanding them, which is a great way. And as you rightly said, that it is all in the mind. It's all about the mindset of the change, the thought that, yes, we need to go forward, we need to grow. Tremendous, amazing, and very inspiring. And yes, I need to, and I, of course, I've met you, learned so much from you about this, but this is real insight which I am also getting. So all the people who are here, right now. Some amazing stuff what Vanduta is talking. So let me now talk about, you earlier spoke about maintaining quality, right? Are you talking about how this kept you going? Uh, I want to ask you that how do you really, or how in the initial days did you maintain the quality and the standards to be able to match to those people? You also said about that if you want to really look at or understand the industry, you start with the governments for that matter. So how did you maintain that level of quality? Because you were working with real big buyers for that matter, and they had pretty high expectations, right? So how did you manage that? The
So,
quality
like
part.
the quality, I'm picking on your word mindset again and again because it's a very important word. It's all a mindset. So, when in that 50 machine factory, when we would get these small orders, Gagan, you'll find it very amusing now. Even I find it amusing. When the order used to come, even if the order was for 300 pieces, I would my team would do the inspections and I would do the inspections myself. I remember the times when I would bring cartons into my room, shut it up, try garment after garment after garment, and you know, and look at every little seam, every little detail, because the intention was that the final wearer of that garment should not feel that his armhole is uncomfortable, that his sleeve doesn't fit right, or the color is not what he is expecting to be delivered. So so that's how the quality begins. It begins from that 50 machine factory. So that same philosophy you keep applying in as you grow. But people who now do it for you are the people who walk that journey with you. So we have people in our organization. So it's a 26-year-old company now. We have people who've been with us for more than 26 years, literally.
Wow.
And they and people, even now, the new people that we bring in, it's very important. Very quickly they understand that this is the philosophy the company works on. Because this gentleman who just yesterday told me, his name is Colonel Nikunj, he told me that I came to your factory and I couldn't believe it's clean like a 5-star hotel. So because what we do is, if my philosophy is, if my worker's bathroom is dirty, that means we have not been able to convey to the last person that how does it matter if my bathroom looks neat and clean, if my room looks neat and clean. So I just saw Yudhvir from my organization. He's here, he's the CEO of the company, and he takes these walks in the morning and he looks at the same corners like I would look at the corners, or Anil would look at the corners. So this is how now that it boils down to the teams, it boils down to people. So they're doing that job, that what I was doing 15 years back.
Super, wonderful. And actually, you've touched with your last statement actually with my next question, and it's all about people. People, as you rightly said, have a big role to play in companies' success and expansion. And I know that you have a great team, and I also know that each one of them are highly motivated. I know you do a lot of activities around them. So tell us some of the secrets around people management, what you adopt.
So, like I said, how can I put it? We are sensitive folks. Okay. So eventually company is about the people who are at the helm, right? So if I'm sensitive, I would want to ensure that I'm sensitive to the need of people around me, right? So with that sensitivity, so even now we used to call ourselves DAKS India family. And as we were expanding, we thought, should we stick with this word family anymore? Because family, if you think of family and you think of corporates, you think of huge organizations, they don't sit together, right? Because family limits you to become a huge corporate. But then we looked within and we knew that ultimately the company is about us. The company is an extension of the people at the helm, the people who are leading, what we call the group of leaders in the company. Yeah. And we realized that we are a sensitive lot. We want to remain those people. We enjoy coming to work. Each one of us enjoys coming to work. And I can tell you, like any normal organization, we fight, we have huge arguments, we sulk, we throw tantrums, we do all those things. But end of the day, we come together, you know. Just day before I was in the factory, a new factory which is coming up, and I saw, the head of HR. He was walking around. It was hot, but he was so enthusiastic. I wanted to go away from the factory, but his enthusiasm ensured that I stayed, and I looked at every corner of that factory. You know, so that's what. So if you bring in the culture, that culture sticks, that culture stays, and people then deliver. And because you've now, they start thinking like you actually, we are like each other now. So because I don't have to go into the factory of the person who's looking after the backpacks. His name is Deepak Srivastav. He's thinking far ahead. He's bringing technology. He's working on efficiencies far better than, me and Anil can tell him. So similarly, the factory heads, they're doing a fabulous job. Our merchants are doing a fabulous job.
Super. And I also know that the smiley which you are wearing here has got some role to play with the people, which is just amazing. Okay, great. Yes.
Can I tell you something about this?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So what happened was, after 10 years, we realized that people have been with us for 10 years. So I'm talking many years back. So we were like overwhelmed that somebody would give 10 years of their lives to us. Somebody would trust us so much. So we started then, we called their families and all that. And we did a very fudgy ceremony where we created these silver smileys. So all of us wear smileys, like you said. So even if this face is not smiling, this one is. So we created these silver smileys, and this was for people who've been there for 10 years. And then the dilemma became people who've been for more than 20 years. So unka kya kare? And then we have a lot of mallus in the shipping, the shipping department. So, and mallus, unka paas already there's so much gold, but then, you couldn't give them a gold smiley, but we gave them gold coins. So things like that, So we Wonderful. Just have fun along the way.
Wonderful. No, I think people make a lot of difference, and to have people who are working with you for decades, it talks about a company. It talks about what and how the people take care you take care of the people, and then people take care of the company. It's just amazing. Thank you very much for sharing that. I know that this is one of your secrets about how you actually take DAKS India to the level which you do. My next question is about the big brands, right? You are working with very, very big brands. And so I want to ask, and I also know already having discussions with you that some people who have this mandate working that we are not going to work with any supplier or manufacturer for more than 5 years. These people have continued with you for 16 years, right? This is just amazing. So what keeps these big brands coming back to you? Or in other words, how do you really live up to the such huge expectations of the buyers?
So first of all, thank you, Mr. Mahajan, Jenny, and Mickey. I was seeing their messages as they were popping up. So first of all, like I said, it's that culture. People catch on. And then they see a brave entrepreneur in front of them. They respond to that. They know that if there is a quality problem, this vendor will keep the goods back, but not send us substandard quality. And then they see you deliver design. Yeah. So now I can't be an egomaniac to say I can do designs better than those luxury brands. No way. But what you do is just keep an eye and you do a wee bit better. So every time they come, they know that you're aligned, you're aware, and then you deliver wee bit better than, their own design. So, it's exciting for them. So even if, like I said, I was telling you the other day, that luxury brands have a policy where they don't work with anybody for more than 5 years, not even a performing vendor. And the reason is because they feel that there is no innovation stops happening, that excitement of doing new things does not remain. So that bite has to remain. and that excitement has to remain. So that's what, for that, you have to be very, very, very hands-on, you know. So the way we take care of our customers is at another level. So Indian hospitality and then our hospitality. So it's not, we don't pander to their unreasonable demands. No. Costings, we fight it out like any one other vendor will fight it out. But we deliver on every other parameter, consistently deliver quality. I'll give you an example of these times. In this COVID times, now our orders, we could see the lockdown was coming. And so what we did was those purchase orders, we prepared them even little ahead of time. And we told the customers, these are not normal times, take them, and in the process, we shipped all the goods before time. And for last month, I mean, this is an ironical thing to say, we doubled our turnover. It happened for different reasons, but it also told us that we are capable of doubling our turnover.
Wow.
So it's a possibility.
Super. I think this is just amazing that how much you think about the customers with the times. And I also want to briefly touch upon, I was going through some of your profile, the DAKS India's LinkedIn bit. And when you speak about the quality and speak about the way you are managing the buyers, I also see that you lay a lot of emphasis on quality checks and management with the extensive labs which you set up. Would you like to talk about that a bit?
We are fully compliant. Now, like I always tell you, Gagan, quality is here. Yeah. Quality is in your heart, right? Yeah. So compliance is just a formality, is an extra money that you have to pay out of your pockets.
I know. No, I can understand that.
And that's how I would tell my community, that's how they should look at it. Because, if you remain compliant at heart, SA 8000 will be a cakewalk. Even if we've had times when those unannounced inspectors would come and pop in, we would still pass at the highest. At times it's scary. So we have all kind of compliances in place. Gagan, just repeat your question one more time.
I think you've already answered it all, which I read with the labs and all that, but I got an answer which was even bigger. And the answer was compliant at heart, that then no other compliance is needed for that matter, whatever it comes. So that is just amazing. So good. Now, Vanduta, you spoke about the COVID times and you spoke about the current pandemic time in the past 1 year. We would like to know from you, you've already mentioned that you've, even in these tough times, you've doubled your turnover. Tell us more about how in the past 1 year you have coped up with maybe with manufacturing or with people or with so much of negativity going around. How have you coped up with regards to your company?
Gagan, the question made me think that I talked about the managers of the company, the seniors in the company, but the backbone of our company, the workers, I've not talked about them. So what had happened was all these years, we do those tiny little things for the workers. So like a simple thing, I'll tell you, we all have surprises. So winter time, what I used to do is, I'm digressing a little before I answer your question.
That's all.
Is we would organize these tables and we would organize 1st December, 31st December, thand hai, and we would organize these tea stalls and samosas for them. So as they're coming into the factory, out of the blue, they have a surprise, right? So this is like one of the things I mentioned. And then small little things, jaise ek purane zamane mein, purani, I don't know, 70s ki movies, if you've seen, the zamane mein jo mill owners hote the, the mill owners would know the names of the workers, they would know कि किसका बच्चा कौन से कॉलेज में स्कूल में पढ़ रहा है, कौन सी क्लास में क्या कर रहा है. So I mean, I want to do that. I'm not able to. I would love to one day be able to sit on a stool and chat with them. But believe me, they are the ones who made it happen. So when after the lockdown, the first time, I'm talking about the first wave when it happened, when we opened our factories, the world was so different. So Now the responsibility had increased so many folds. How do you protect them? Because so we have a huge number of people to manage, and how do you protect them? Because this disease is so thank you, Monica. So this disease spreads so quickly, so so many new things had to be taken care of. So we started to, like every exporter has done, every mill owner must have done, we had those usual drills where we started to bring people in one by one. We started to sanitize their environment, protect them, mask them up, and now they wear double mask and a shield currently. But in that time, it was a single mask. Then between each sewing machine, we created a screen, a plastic screen. So, we brought in that gap. And in fact, the workers were suggesting, they are the ones who suggested such wonderful things. So for the workers, what we do is we give incentives for every new idea. So we give small, 10,000 rupees, one cycle, small little gifts for people. So it's not a huge, burden on the company. So this one operator said, "Har machine ke upar ka switch separate laga. So mera 10 minute bachega to go to other panel." So and then they would recommend कि मेरे area को कैसे make it secure. So we would do that, and then to tell them when they're having their lunch, कि now you have to sit separate from each other. It was so tough. So we had to paint those yellow circles all along and make them, sit separately, continuously have talks with them. It's for your security. And the fact is, till second wave didn't happen, we didn't really have big cases. Yudhvir is here and he can tell you more. We managers also, we got COVID now, but there were barely no COVID case in those times because we were very, very careful right then.
That's amazing. That talks about the level of preparation you've gone in managing and taking care of the people. Again, managing the people, and the people will take care of you. It's just amazing. Super. Yes. So it's great. So now, before I actually ask you one last question, I actually first would like to go to Sonal. Sonal, you've been a silent listener, and I know that you come from the industry. You have seen, led the industry yourself, for that matter, your own set of factories and all that. What are your views of what you have been listening so far?
Again, it's been amazing to hear Vandita and her story. And you know what? Me and Vandita go a long way. I've been a vendor, as my other company has been a vendor to DAKS India. And personally, we've been friends for many years now. And I see the kind of attention to detail what Vandita and DAKS India, particularly in complete organization, has. It's really amazing. And it's all hats off to the entire leadership team, the culture that they disseminate from the top. And it's amazing to see the culture coming into the organization. And especially at the times when things are actually, contracting. Most of the businesses are contracting, and I'm so happy to see the kind of progress what DAKS India has been doing over the years. So, Vandita, before I, take upon all the questions which are there in the Q&A section, and there is one particular area which I wanted to, check. While, most of the businesses are, feeling the pressure of the cost, and I see you particularly asking for customers, you being working with some of the best, luxury brands in terms of your packaging divisions. And so you always ask for, volume business, and you're always sure about matching up on the prices. So how do you contain the cost factor in your organization?
So it's a very, very, very important question. So volumes is only in the garments. Rest for home, we even do smaller orders. And for other divisions also, we do smaller orders. But I'll tell you what has happened in this industry. Why even before, and Sonal, you will understand this the best. Why did everything start to go wrong with our industry even before COVID hit? The reason was because customers would push you for tighter and tighter costings. I mean, I remember some product where we would be quoting a price of $19.99 in the year 96. Today, we are making the same goods at 9.99, right? So that's how the costing has changed. So the costing pressure is huge. Every customer who comes to you will always tell you, do this order in this price right now, I'll make up, which you understand, you do, because it's a partnership. You do understand that this happens in certain cases. But what I've noticed is why those vendors fell out is because to a certain extent, we live in another dimension as exporters. So because, and also we were constantly competitive. We were not collaborating like Sotex wants us to collaborate. We always apprehensive कि मेरा order कोई और ना ले जाए, तो तो मैं break even से नीचे भी quote कर दूंगा. My overheads don't get covered and people will still quote that price. So what happens with that is slowly, very slowly, what tends to happen is you lose in one order, then the next and the next, and you have no business left by the end of it. So that's how even big giant companies have collapsed. We know about one that is so huge has collapsed. It is very, very sad moment that has happened. But having said that, you still have to pay a lot of attention to bringing down the cost. So how do you bring down cost again and again is through efficiencies. So this is a lesson we learned with Steve Madden. What they did was they were doing all the manufacturing in China. And they taught us about efficiencies. They took our teams. They said, listen, come bring your teams to Vietnam and learn about efficiencies. And slowly I remember our efficiency was 50% lower. Then slowly it came to 30%, 20%. So, as we kept increasing our efficiencies, that cost started to make sense. Those break-even costs you could achieve faster. So, and then second element is prices of fabrics and other accessories. So I know as PCGS, there's constantly, because an exporter is being pushed by his buyer, he pushes his vendors to do the same, which is again unfair. Because what you need to do is look at them also as collaborators, give them fair price, give them payments on time. So let's say, even if you negotiate with your supplier, how do you make up with your supplier is by, if you promised him, I will make you a payment in this week of this month, make that payment. Then you form an association, which is a long chain, and where you have trust built in every interaction. So those are the 2 things or 3 things that I would say. Overhead, don't compromise. Do build in your overhead in your cost. Once in a while, of course, you have to make a compromise. I don't know, Sonal, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I can totally relate to it, being from the manufacturing sector myself. So, since we are almost heading towards at 6, so let me start quickly taking up questions which are there in the Q&A sections. And I think there is a follow-on question from Mr. Balakrishna. He's saying, how competitive are your products compared to Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, China, and other cost producers in Asia? So this is, I think, just an extension to what you just explained.
So, Mr. Balakrishnan, our prices are not competitive enough against Bangladesh in terms of garments. Because I think as India, we lose business to Bangladesh a lot because Bangladesh prices are really low. We are yet to match those prices, I'll be honest. But we match all the prices. Garments is one segment where we struggle a little, but other segments, we are very highly competitive. In fact, more competitive than China at times, purely because of efficiencies. And like I said, supplier relationships, because suppliers also stand by you, and it's very important that suppliers stand by you.
Thank you. There's another one coming from Mr. Sudhir Grover. What type of bags you have not made yet? And also, can you do affordable storage accessories?
You'll have to clarify, what do you mean by storage accessories? If it's in textile segment, If at the cosmetic bags you're talking about, yes, we did make for promotional companies as well, because you'll be surprised. You would imagine that we manufacture for luxury brands that we cannot manufacture for promotional brands. No, because end of the day, it's all about giving good costing and good value, be it a luxury buyer or be it any buyer, right? So yes, that's possible. What is the second question? What are the bags we've not made?
Yeah. What kind of bags you have not made? And there is a follow-on question. Explain what you've learned, what you should not do for us to let you, for them to know. I mean, what kind of things you cannot do? That is what they what he wants to know. Mr. Sudhir Grover is a buying agent and is doing for American as in the US market.
Mr. Sudhir
Grover.
Hello, Mr. Grover. We can't do fusing bags. We've recently made bags for a company which delivers food like Zomato in the US. So we even made a crazy product like that. What are the things that we've not made? In textile, we like challenges, basically. We are crazy people. We like challenges. So we open for challenges. I can't say which are the other bags we've not made.
I would say you can throw in a challenge to Mr. Grover that bring in an idea and we will produce it. So that is how you can do that.
Thank you, Gagan.
So,
yes, Mr. Grover, hope to see you soon.
Yeah, so there is a couple of questions, but before I go there, let me take a question from Mr. Bipin Sehgal. He has put up a very interesting question. Environmental concerns are increasingly driving businesses' decisions at brands of all sizes. It's no longer a question of it, but when environmental practices have moved beyond everything, beyond something, we should be on the moral grounds and something that nobody can ignore. Are you working collaborative with the customers on ethical sourcing and manufacturing? What steps have you taken to imbibe sustainability, and though it is a premature secularity in your business?
So small little things, like I mentioned about that tailor who gave the suggestion that put that light switch right on top of me instead of making me, walk 10 minutes away from my station. So one is that small little change. Then another thing is earlier we used to have diesel diesel plants within a company for I'm forgetting for which particular Yudhvir or somebody who's there can possibly remind me. As we changed that to PNG, and all our trucks earlier were, of course, usual diesel trucks, but now we moved to CNG. As a company, we plant 1,000 trees every year. I don't know, Sonal and Gagan, you both have to still come to this factory, which is next to the night safari, which is a full jungle of 800 acres. And so every year we go and plant a number of trees over there. So Sonal, no smiling, you're coming. And when Sadhguru talked about this rally for rivers, so what we did was we stood on the streets holding the placards. We were standing on the streets all over Delhi. We were, as a company, all of us stood on the streets of Noida. I was in New York and I was at Columbus Square. I took a printout and I also stood there and, rally for rivers. So sustainability is something, we are the biggest consumers of BCI cotton in the country. Yeah. Because most of our customers are, it's no more like something which was in the background. Now, thankfully, all over the world, everybody understands that sustainability has to come forward. Our PET bags are being made, those recyclable products. Just a few days back, somebody talked about banana fabric. From Sotex, somebody sent me a very nice mail. They're making banana fabrics. I'm very excited to see that. So sustainability and solar panels. So till now, we used to look at solar panels and think of them as an expensive proposition. But now we are in talks. We're in talks with Deepshika now to put solar panels and very quickly in all our factories. Wow. So yes, this needs to happen, and it's part of the mindset that I was talking about earlier.
So I think Sakshi Katak has put in a similar question in the chat box. I hope Sakshi, some of the questions are are being answered by Vandita. So I'm just kind of repeating the question again. What practices are you following when it comes to sustainability? What that Vandita has just shared. How you ensure that product is absolutely sustainable? And do you use recycled polyester bags?
Yes. So like I said, now customers are asking for it more and more. Almost every inquiry is about recycle fabric or recycle, yarn or whatever recycle element is possible.
Yeah. So there is a question from an anonymous attendee. It is is the garment market following in e-commerce due to a lot of competition? So I think the gentleman or the person has not named himself, but in terms of the garment market on the e-commerce side, yes, there is a lot of competition. And Vandita, would you like to answer it your side from your perspective?
What I've learned from the new generation is that pick up your niche. Even if you're going to go on the e-commerce segment, which you should, because that's where the future is. But pick up your niche. Don't just be a, what they say, master of none. Jack of all trades and master of none. So in e-commerce segment, especially, it's very applicable. Pick up your strength area, and even if it's a handkerchief, produce the best handkerchief possible, and make it your thing on e-commerce.
Right. Mr. Praveen Kumar, I hope that answers your question as well. What should we focus on e-commerce? The Vandita has just shared about that.
Sonal, just to add one point, 2-3 weeks back, we had a session on our platform at SowtexConnect, where the Aditya, the owner of Madame, Zasht, as well as Study by Janak were there, and they were talking about e-commerce at depth. If you want, our Sowtex team can send you the YouTube link for that particular. This topic was on e-commerce and the impact of e-commerce and living in the offline and the online world. So if you're interested, go through that particular YouTube link and you will get to know much more about this. But yes, Vandita has already answered. Pick up your niche and then move forward. That is the right way to go forward. Go ahead. Over to you, Sonal. Yes.
Thank you so much. There's another one from Ashish Jain. We are an export house based out of Noida and Delhi. We would like to establish another setup in Greater Noida. Please share your experience as well as your valuable guidance.
You said his name is Ashish?
Jain.
Ashish Jain. Ashish, you know what? It's a very important question again, because we have had our factories in Delhi and in Gurgaon. But I would highly, highly recommend Greater Noida. Take my email address, reach out to me, I'll help you. So we set up our first factory in Greater Noida. When I was told Noida, my first reaction was no way, because I was petrified of Noida in those days, like a typical Delhiite reaction. But today, I'll tell you, it's UPS IDC, the most helpful lot of people. First of all, the rates are still, I can't say it's affordable. It's become expensive in these times, but still affordable. So you can still buy a slightly bigger chunk of land. UPS IDC is extremely helpful. And they're very collaborative. So you come to them, you go and talk to them, they'll come to your doorstep and solve that problem for you. I've never seen that happen. So, to me, please come to Greater Noida. Be my competitor there. But do come, because and more exporters are coming over there. Come to EPIP, export zone. It's booming right now. But couple of factories are still available on resale, so you can come. And UPS IDC has not paid me to say this.
So he's not in competition to you. They are into men's garment and then to men's garment exports. But I'm sure he's listening to this conversation.
I want to collaborate, Sonal. Yes. I want that fear to go away from my industry. I want us to come together. Okay, so we were talking about my book. I'll just now share it. So this is the book. And this book is about the people. of people of this industry. We are a people-oriented industry. So as first step we need to do is stop getting scared of each other. We are not film stars that we have to कि संजय बंसीवाली एक ही picture बनाएगा, you know. So we have lots of buyers over there. Just pick your niche and we can collaborate.
So Mr. Pranam Mahajan from Asper is just put a comment saying that thanks for clarification about Naida, and being in the same industry, I think like yours, he feels it's very important that collaborations should come through. We have another person, Mr. Naveen Jain. What all strategies DAKS India uses to beat competitors? So just an extension to what you have just mentioned.
So I can talk about initial days, Naveen. Initial days, it was very tough to stand apart. Because if you remember, us zamane mein we used to go to magic shows and every exporter used to be carrying his suitcase along. And if one exporter has gone, the Americans used to not treat us very nicely in those days because they knew we will all undercut each other. So those were not good times. So I remember struggling in those days. Us time pe, and also in those days, you didn't have so much of internet space to go look for a customer. You had to struggle to know कि ये customer चीज कहाँ कैसी है, निकाले कहाँ से, मिलेगी कहाँ, because you were constantly looking for customers. And buying agents were like your gods and masters for this reason. But today, internet is your world. Pick a niche, pick something spectacular that you do and talk about it. I remember Sonal, your story, Sonal, is again very inspiring story for me, is because when you decided to start this 5-6 years back, you were from such a successful family. You were doing such successful business. Just because you're a techie, you wanted to add technology to, watch, and you wanted to bring this upon yourself. And I used to think, yes, Sonal, kitna mushkil kaam kar raha hai, kaise karega? But you did it because you picked up a niche and you went at it. You didn't give up. So I think that's what we all need to do as exporters. Right now is the time, and right now, because more than 200 exporters have fallen out, small, mid, small size, a lot of exporters have, and even large have. This is the time export went, the things have changed a little bit for us. The buyers are lining up. Your reputation, your teams should spread that reputation. Your the customers should spread that reputation about yourself. And then, of course, internet is your playground. Use it well.
So you just rightly touched upon one critical area, and this is one small suggestion I would like to give it to everyone in the room. Guys, this is an opportunity which you all have to leverage upon as a textile community, as a part of the textile supply chain. The moment things start settling down, there is a huge set of opportunity which you guys can leverage. World is looking at India now. They are focusing, they are very much inclined to do business in India. Of course, how you build up your image on the world. The only thing that is available right now is internet. Use this opportunity very well. Put your business online. Put it on all the platforms, whether it is SowTex, whether it is any other platform that you think is important to you, go ahead and do it. I promise you there is a lot of opportunities coming in. Right now, we are actually getting about 100 leads every single day. The only thing is now we have suppliers who are not ready to take up their leads. We have business flowing in, but people are not ready to take up. But I encourage you, use this time, leverage it out, develop the relationships, share your product lines at least through a digital medium. Share your catalogs, start building a relationship. And the moment things settle down, you have ready business that you can bounce back upon. So I would say this is like what Vanduta said, leverage on this time, use technology, build your business on internet. So just an extension to the couple of questions that keep pouring in. So Mr. Balakrishna has another question going forward. What do you think is the future of garment industry going forward? Vanduta, would you like to take it on?
It's a very difficult question to answer, Mr. Balakrishnan. It's a very difficult question to answer. Like the Shmeet is saying, go digital. Go digital, also look at India. Flipkart and these Indian sites are doing very, very good business. So the order quantity may not be huge, but you can build on it. India is booming as a market. Myself, I'm scared of value-added garments. I've done it all these years, and now finally, somehow I'm little scared of them because they need a lot of passion. Person who does garments, every garment is like a human being. It has its personality. Somebody has Sonal's and somebody has Gagan's personality. So you have to really pamper and understand and appreciate that personality and then give it your all. So do garments if you love it. You absolutely totally enjoy making garments, because every time with garments I've noticed is every time the problem would be a unique problem. I mean, thinking that, I've been in the industry for so, you would imagine that now I know a solution to a problem. Every time a new curveball comes your way and you have to look at it in a new way. So get into to also love it like the way you love it. And then of course, find your niche. And like the Shmeet said, dig into internet.
Just to extension of what Vanduta just mentioned out, I would rather say in the garment, within the garments, you have a niche in the garment, and especially in case if you come out with that niche, whether it is your price point, whether it is your designing, whether it's your the fabrics that you use, just go out, share it with the world, share it with the customers on the internet, and you will see there will be no end to the garment line also. There are buyers for all size, tickets, MOQs, right from small, medium, large. And I'm sure in case if you have a delivery capacity and the consistency and the quality, you will not have any challenge of the business. Another question coming out from Mr. Deepak Vora. What kind of automation exists in your factory? What further automation is possible in the near future?
So hi, Mr. Vora, how are you? So you've been around in this industry and you understand it far better than I do. You've been around even longer, 90s, so possibly you even understand 80s. But technology at every touch point. A small thing like a sewing machine. So it's not a simple sewing machine anymore. It's an automatic UBT sewing machines now. So at every touch point, you have to introduce some element of technology, because you cannot escape technology, and because it's only going to grow. And if you say, listen, I'm going to wait, listen, I'll still take some time, don't do that, because start small, start introducing small little changes, and then they'll all add up into something very, very big. So I can't say of one big thing. I don't even recommend one big thing. I recommend small automations, and keep your eye on artificial intelligence. In fact, Mr. Vora's son, he's into AI, and he came and he guided us a lot about AI, how to look into AI, and how to because you have to very soon. I mean, we may think AI is still a little away, but Sonal, knowing you, I'm sure there must be some element of AI already in this meeting.
Yeah, we use a lot of AI in terms of our keywords, matchmaking, and doing digital connections. So yeah, a lot of that work is actually going out. Yeah, in the software side, but in terms
I knew.
Yeah. So, Vanduta, there are a lot of takers for your book now. So, why don't you tell where is your book available now?
First, tell the name of your book. People have asked what is the name of your book.
So you know what? Now again, everybody will understand, because we are all the same community. Because क्या होता था, Gagan, उस time people would come and every time they would travel to India, they will say, hey, bring this tablet with them. And I would say, why do you eat this Alka-Seltzer all the time? It's like a Eno. They keep dissolving that little tablet and keep bringing. This is dealing with Indian vendors. Our stomachs need a lot of help. So I said, because and every time I would say, hey, listen, China is easy. Manufacturing in China is easy. And India, there's so many challenges. And then I started to analyze and think, hey, it's not really true. Because yes, we do things differently. But what we have in our favor is we are democracy. China does not have that. We don't tell our workers that you cannot leave these stations. We, as much democracy as you and me enjoy, our workers enjoy it too. So the conversation started from there, and the whole conversation about Alka-Seltzer as something which gave them a relief. So I said, let them know about what real India is. So in the book, my first chapter is what is India? Understand who are we? That there is north, south, east, west of India, to simplify it. And each one of us responds to things differently. To a North Indian, if you've not said, I like your product very, very much, he'll be very disappointed. With a South Indian, a different language. So I explained India in it. And then I've gone to a lot of buying agents. I've gone to the top buying offices. And I've asked them, what is that something that they liked in India and what did they find challenging? So this book is still a work in progress. I need another 6 months to put it into publishing. But thank you so much for giving me the strength to continue writing. Thank you very much for that. I will deliver it in the next 6 months.
I'm sure Mr. Jay Karamaroda as well as Mr. Bipin, you were asking about the book. So you got to wait for some more time for the book to come out and get published. And I'm sure we will put it on SowtexConnect wall also so that people know about where to find it and what are the contents coming in through.
Thank you so much, Sonal. Thank you.
I also see one more question, which is actually, it's not a question, but it's more related to your business. And Sakshi Kaptak has actually asked you about whether you do beddings and embroideries, solids, or what are your MOQs. So I would request Sakshi, we'll soon connect you to Vanduta and you can have this discussion, what all they are capable of doing, what are the MOQs and all that. And I'm sure Vanduta will be looking forward to connect with you on that. Oh, go ahead.
How about taking some live questions? I have Mr. Ashok Ranjani who wants to take a live question. Can we do that now?
Why not? I think it'll be a great idea.
Okay.
Sure. I love to see faces.
Yeah. So, Mr. Ashok, you can unmute and you can ask your question.
I think he's around. Yeah, he's there. Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Ashok.
Yeah, good evening. I'm not able to.
Mr. Rajani.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes, Mr.
Your story is really, really inspiration for so many people. I'm glad to know as a lady also, you are doing a lot of things for the workers, taking a lot of strength for the industry to come to your place, around your place, Greater Noida. I'm amazed to know that that is a good place. We were thinking around Noida is not good, but rather Gurgaon is a better place where we should do the jobs and develop the business. But your story says Noida is a better place. I'll see to it. Greater Noida. Yeah, not Noida, but Greater Noida. That is very, very good. And
I don't know so much about Noida, but Greater Noida.
Greater Noida. And your inspiration to go higher with the staff and give them support of your love and affection as well as incentive is very, very inspiring. That is very, very good. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you
Ashok.
so much, Mr. Rajani. Thank you. What is that you do, Mr. Rajani?
Mr. Suresh Gupta. Mr. Suresh Gupta, can you take your question, please? You can unmute yourself. Mr. Suresh Gupta?
I think he's probably not around.
Okay, Mr. Mukesh Suneja.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes. Go ahead, Mr. Mukesh.
Hello, everyone. It's a very inspiring session today. Please keep up with this kind of sessions at least once in a month. During this time, it really gives us a lot of boosting. Thank you, Vanduta, for everything. Yeah, and last time when we had met in the meeting during Connect, you had shown interest in twill fabric, polyester twill fabric. So I would like to know the mailing address, courier address, and the connecting person so that I can do the needful.
Mr. Mukesh, you can reach out to SowtexConnect team, and we would connect you to DAKS India's team also. So, Vanduta, you want to share who's the right person in your company that you can connect to?
So Sonal, I'll send you an entire list. I think
Sure.
most of it you already have, but
Yeah.
Pankaj would be the right person in the company because he's the head of the this premium packaging division.
Sure.
So he's the one who requires this twill, and he requires it throughout the year.
Sure.
Great.
Right.
Suneja.
Yes, Mr. Suneja, I think any other question, Mr. Suneja, you have at the moment?
No, abhi to nahi hai, but yes,
Okay.
I'm going to hear more about people, what they have to say.
Okay, great. So I think we've taken up all the live questions, and we will just quickly take last 2-3 questions. Then we will conclude the session. The question is from Mr. Harpreet Singh: how your company meet your mid-level? How your company meets your mid-level, fresh designers, merchants, etc. HR requirements? Whether you prefer on-campus or off-campus recruitments?
So far, you know, what has worked for us is when we know somebody by reputation. I don't remember us going to so much of headhunters, because what would happen, Sonal, there is, I don't know, things may have changed now, and my team members here, they can tell. Headhunters sometimes don't do the complete due diligence. And that due diligence is very important. And like you understand that culture fit is very, very important. You know, sometimes, I mean, you have all sorts of people in your teams, like they say, make a jungle, have a lion, have an elephant, and have pack of wolves, and have everything else too in the team. And I totally endorse that. But at the same time, that, you know, you need to hire a person with certain amount of understanding person. Though we have this very strong questionnaire to make sure that there's a culture fit, because that culture fit is very, very important. Otherwise, I notice people fall out. And so his question was, where do we hire them from? So we hire them from everywhere, and we open. So currently, for is 2 people. One is to groom somebody in next 2 years. Say maybe even the CEO of the company. Although we'll hope CEO emerge. Also open. And then is CFO. So those are two people that we're immediately looking for, and we'll start grooming them if that helps.
So Mr. Harpreet is actually representing.
Sonal, I don't know if I answered this correctly.
Yeah, so Mr. Harpreet is actually from the HR placement from NIFT Punjab. I believe it from Ludhiana. So probably that's the reason why he's putting out on that question.
That's right.
So,
Okay.
Mr. Harpreet, I believe the question has been answered. In case if you have any.
Mr. Harpreet.
Yeah.
So, Sonal, I can tell one thing is that our brand, Almost Gods, look it up. We are always hiring designers in that brand. A lot of interns, you know, they work with us. So check out this brand, Mr. called Almost Gods. It's a very youngish brand, and you'll notice all the designers in your campus will love it.
Okay. Great. Another one coming from Mr. Deepak Vora says, I'm thinking the second last question. Does China have a competitive advantage over India due to automatic machines?
Every day they beat us in costing. Their efficiencies are extremely high. And, so costing is one element, and quality. So China also beats us in quality many a times because they produce consistent quality. So his question is that, can we beat China, is the question?
So his question is, can we beat China on this? So I can take a small extension to this answer. See, right now, what in terms of India, what we are missing out is innovation. And if you guys can, whoever is in the room, I would really advise you to please come and join us on the next session with Mr. Ram Sareen. So I would say Tuka Tech is one of the most disruptive companies in the world. And the founder happens to be an Indian who has gone ahead and set up his business across in the US. And in case if you want to understand the technology, especially what is happening around India, and across, I wouldn't say India exactly, but across the world. What has happened in the last 1 year, and you will be surprised to know the kind of things that have emerged. So there's a lot of disruption which has happened in the fashion and textile industry also. And touchwood, I would say we are just at the beginning of the entire thing. In case if manufacturers can come and take the advantage of putting some of these small, tiny processes in their manufacturing divisions, you can see there is a lot of change in terms of the shift. What you can see, the cost saving is there, the innovation is there, how you can go ahead and make a product. You can sell your product even without even making your sample fit. So these kind of new technologies are coming, and I would say, guys, please come and join us in the next session. There will be a lot of takeaways, especially on the innovation side. And your question particularly is how to beat China.
I can't wait to attend.
Yes.
I can't wait to attend Mr. Ram Sareen's session.
Absolutely. So, Gagan, I would urge you before we end this session, please share the details about that. So let me just take a last question from the blog. Mr. Ashok has again asked a question, which is any specific tips for new startup business to survive through this tough situation or manage the business and the finances?
I'll need some more information to be able to answer it. Yes, these are very, very difficult times currently, more difficult than, far more difficult to set up an export unit in these times. But possibly he and me can have a chat. He can call me or he can write me a mail, and I'll be, I can have an open discussion with him. Because it's a very long, detailed information he'll need.
I'm sure, yes.
Yeah, so I hope we have taken up most of the question, and Mr. Praveen Kumar, for your question on B2C and B2B or the e-commerce business. For B2B in the e-commerce section, you can definitely write to Sotex, and for the B2C, as Gagan mentioned, you can refer to our previous session, which was there with Zast, as well as with the other, members who were in the other brands who are into both omni-channel area, wherein they are in both the formats of online and offline. And that will be the session which will help you to answer exactly what is your queries on B2B and B2C. So I leave back to Gagan now. Take over, Gagan.
Thank you so much for an extended session of questions. I was amazed to see the number of questions which came up, and Vanduta, I'm seeing the messages on the chat box. Not everybody is able to see it because many of the messages are directly posted only to the panelists, but I can see how people have gone so inspired with your story, the way you started, the way you moved forward, the way you moved ahead. Any final words of advice which you would like to give to the community? One last question from my side.
I think collaborate, be adaptable, and I think it's a very Indian thing. We adapt, and what the word you gave me today, Gagan, the mindset. Yes. That overrides everything. You have the correct mindset and be hands-on, because we are in this industry which requires us to be hands-on. Because if you're, I mean, many a times I used to say, why can't it work like a corporate structure? Why does it have to have a Lala mentality? Why does the buying agent only want to talk to the owners? So to a certain extent, I mean, of course, it needs to grow, that corporate thing needs to happen. But at the same time, what was the point I was saying? Sorry, I've forgotten.
Mindset. Yes.
Huh?
The mindset. Yes.
Mindset. So the mindset has to be in the right place. Mindset and hands-on is what I was talking about, that be hands-on.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you
Be
so much.
hands-on.
Thank you so much, Vanduta, for such an inspiring session. There was so many things to learn from today, which is just amazing. And before we actually close the session, as Sonal just mentioned, I would like to quickly talk about the session which is happening next week. And this is a session which everybody is also looking at, apart from the session which we had today. Yes, we were all looking out for the session today, and now it's the time where you look at the session which we are having with the head coach and founder of Tukatech. This is a session on technology. This is a session of what are the innovations which are happening in the textile world, and how does the industry can leverage it in the current pandemic. This is a session which is happening on next Thursday. This is slightly different timing than our usual timing of 5 p.m. primarily because Ram is joining us from LA, and 5 p.m. would not suit him because it will be too early for him in the day. So he is joining us at 7 p.m. in the evening. I would request you all, to all the people you know in the industry, this is the session which you need to attend to talk about what really is happening in the current tech world, what technology which is coming in. So we are looking forward to see you all on this particular session also again. Any of you who are here, we'll be looking forward to see you back next week. And with this, I would like to call a formal thank you to Vanduta for being on the session today and being so inspiring to all of the people. Along with that, I would like to thank Sonal for always planning the vision which came with the thought behind and made me join the SowtexConnect team, along with that, and with which we are now leading this initiative of SowtexConnect. And I am truly delighted in the past 1.5 months since I have been on with the SowtexConnect team. It has been truly delighting how we are trying to make a difference to the community, which is just amazing. Thank you all. Thank you everyone for joining this session. We are absolutely delighted that you were here, and we are looking forward to see you back at many more SowtexConnect sessions, which we will keep organizing in the months and years to come. Thank you so much. Looking forward to see you back on SowtexConnect platform. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vanduta.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your encouraging messages. So Gagan, thank you
Of
and
course,
bye.
yes, you can leave. Thank you so much, Vanduta.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.